Hello, the purpose of this screencast is to walk you through some of the basics of Google Sites. You can pause at any time so that you can watch a little bit of the instruction and then try it yourself. Also, know that on YouTube there are tons of resources for using Google Sites. So you could simply type in, how do I use Google Sites, or how to use Google Sites, and YouTube will bring you to lots of videos that go into way more detail than mine will. I like to start from either your drive, or you could start from your email. You want to click these starter dots right here, and they bring you down to Sites. Now, Google used to have a very complex way of building websites, and I built several of them using that complex way, but they have updated. So if you come to something like this, you're going to want to go to New Google Sites, but a lot of you, it might just bring you right to an interface that looks like this. These right here are templates. I don't want you to use those. Rather, I want you to create a blank one. And then these down here are all the websites that I've made or that people have shared with me. Yours will eventually be added to this. But for now, I'm going to create a new site. It takes a second for it to load. Once it has loaded, I'm going to give you a tour of this, but first let's title it. And since I've been doing the Voting Rights Act of 1965, that's what I'm going to put as the name of my website. And then I'm going to put my last name in there, Mendez. You should do the same, your title and your last name. Then you see it will populate up here. This will be part of the URL as well. Up here you have redo and undo buttons. This is called the preview button. It's going to allow you to preview what your website would look like if somebody visited it on the open web. That will bring you back to the construction page. This is for sharing, and I would like everybody to share their website with me. So find me and share this with me so that I can edit, and therefore I can make comments on your work and take a look at it. This is the settings page. You don't need to worry too much about these settings. This drop down, the one thing here is take a tour. This will walk you through how to use Google Sites as well, and some of the tools that are available to you. And then publish. Once you are done constructing your website, you want to hit publish, and that's going to make it official. Over here you have different functions: insert, pages, themes. Insert is anything you want to place inside your web page. If you click on text box, you can see it creates a text box. I'll show you how to use this more later. If you want to add an image, you can upload one. Like I might want to find one of Martin Luther King Jr. signing the Voting Rights Act. And I could include that in my website. Embed, that means you would embed something in there. Sometimes things give you embed codes. This could be good for videos. Usually video is not part of YouTube, because I'll show you there's a quicker way to do that. And then anything you want to grab from your drive. These are different layout styles. Whenever you see the mountain, that's the picture, that's the text, so I could click that, and then I can put text in here and a picture here, and I can click this plus button and I could upload a picture or select an image from their stock images, or find an image in my drive, or find a video on YouTube. Further down, they have other functions here. There's tons of them. We're not going to go over all of them. Some of the helpful ones is if you want to add a click button, if you want to divide some of your text into different areas or sections. Also adding YouTube if you wanted to put a calendar in there, which you don't need to. There are tons of functions here. Add a Google Doc and embed it into the website page. So inserts for putting anything in there. Pages is for structuring or creating the different pages of your website. The home page is what we're going to use to be your thesis. So you're going to be putting your thesis statement on there, and I'll show you. But to create any new page, I want to add subpage. And I might call my first subpage background. And you're going to see it's going to create the background page. Then I can come back up here, add another subpage. Buildup. I think you're getting what I'm doing here. And I could add another subpage, which gets me to part of the story. Now later on I could add the short-term impact and long-term impact as well. Now going back to the home, which is where I'm going to be eventually putting my thesis statement, this is just kind of where everything is going to start. Then you have different themes. If you want to change what it looks like, there's not too many available to you. This Aristotle theme, if I click it, it just automatically changes it. And then I can undo. It will go back to the original. So now that we've gotten acquainted with the page a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create something. And I don't like this layout so much, so I'm going to just simply delete it. And I'm going to delete this so I can start from scratch. So once here, I'm going to change this. And on this title, I'm going to put name of my topic. Now below here, back here, I could click one of these buttons like change image. I could upload a picture of Martin Luther King Jr. signing the act, or President Lyndon Johnson signing the act. Or I could put a picture of the actual act, and that would come in behind the text. But I'm going to keep it simple for now. You also notice my home page, when I hover over it, it brings up those subpages that people can easily navigate. Now, if I want to insert text, which I do, I'm going to click here. And I want to make this not a title, because that's the size of this. I want to use a heading. I'm going to make it thesis. And I'm going to center my thesis right there. There aren't many text options with Google Sites, so it is somewhat limited. Once I have my thesis there, you can play with this to change the colors or to emphasize things. You can add an image behind the text by putting that, by selecting that or uploading the image. But I'm going to keep it simple for this. So I got my thesis. Below that, I'm going to create another text box. This is where I want to put my thesis statement. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my thesis statement, which is right here. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to plop it right in here. And there is my thesis statement. I could make it larger by playing with this. Like I could make it subheading if I really wanted to make it a little bit larger so it's not larger than my heading. And then it would look like that. I can also play with this and move this over. And you can see these scale lines come in. And this will allow me to maybe put a picture in later. Now, let's say I wanted to show a video that is about the Voting Rights Act. If I want to do that, I could go down to YouTube. I can go here, which is a history.com movie on Voting Rights Act. Enter it in, select it, and then it will plop that video in. And I can play with how that video is oriented. I could move it up here next to my text, and then it actually embeds it in. And you got to remember, every single one of your particular web pages needs a picture and a quote. So perhaps I want to put this is the letter that was written from Miss Jackson to her congressperson saying something needs to be done about what happened in Selma and that the Voting Rights Act should be made. So I'm going to pull that out, and I know it's on my desktop. So then I'm going to go back to here, and let's say I want to upload it. So I could literally go to Insert, Images, and I could upload the image. It's going to drop down. I would have to find it on my desktop. It is called Jackson, and I can open it, and there it uploads there, so I can place an image within my web page. So those are some basics for how to use this. So some of the key things that you got to remember is that you need to make sure you give it a title with your last name. You need to create those pages so you have one for each one of your topics, and then how to insert text, and you can play around with different formats and styles. The best way to learn this is just by playing around with it, and you'll become way more familiar. And it really speaks the Google language. So if you're familiar with using Google, you will not have much of a problem with this. All right, thank you for watching.